Where I stand, the world has heard decades of history have passed through this hall in all of their richness and drama. Where I stand, the world has heard from presidents and premiers at the height of the Cold War. We have seen the foundation of nations. We have seen the ringleaders of revolution. We have beheld saints who inspired us with hope, rebels who stirred us with passion, and heroes who emboldened us with courage. All here to share plans, proposals, visions, and ideas on the world's biggest stage. Like those who met us before, our time is one of great contests, high stakes, and clear choices. The essential divide that runs all around the world and throughout history is once again thrown into stark relief.
Here is the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. I have been watching his United Nations address, and I have to say I felt deeply moved by his sincerity in his speech. The addressing of many issues facing his nation that are caused by, at the moment, China, Iran, and Venezuela. President Trump seems to me to speak from the heart. There's truth about what he speaks of, and there is a genuine sincerity and humility in the way that he is addressing every nation present here at the United Nations Assembly, and I deeply respect him. The trouble facing my own country right now, I feel terrible about the current affairs happening in Canada, and the not only controversy surrounding our Prime Minister, but the hypocrisy surrounding him, and the absolute phoniness surrounding him. Justin Trudeau claims to be a great leader, but that man, Donald Trump, is a true great leader. And a genuine person, the genuine article, and everything that Trudeau isn't. I noticed that our status as Canadians has been greatly diminished internationally. Stephen Harper, if you go back in history in an unbiased way, nonpartisan way, you'll see that internationally many countries held Stephen Harper in high esteem. They respected him, especially in Europe. My father's Dutch, so we have access to the Dutch news, and after the announcement of Harper's hard-earned effort to push the free trade agreement with Europe for, I think, 10 years, they were working on that deal. And Stephen Harper finally succeeded in getting it approved, and all it had to be done is a signature, I suppose, on our side to put it through, but there was an election coming. So there was great rejoicing in Europe, at least from the Netherlands' perspective, on the prospect of free trade happening between Canada and Europe. And you know, it was all over the newspapers in Netherlands. And meanwhile, here at home, here in Canada, it was not reported nearly enough. It was about a 30-second clip on the news that didn't even give Stephen Harper the proper gratitude and credit for his hard work in negotiating the free trade with Europe. And essentially what happened is that Harper was then defeated in the election by Justin, and Justin didn't even sign the agreement until months and months later. It wasn't even the number one thing on his list to deal with. So then he, by the press whom he paid, got credit for something that Stephen Harper had worked on diligently with his team for more than, well, I think nearly 10 years. So the absolute hypocrisy of our leader, Justin Trudeau, is, and within our country, I'd say the overwhelming bias of the media in his favor, because they've been paid. Like, I believe he gave more than $600 million to the CBC so that they could portray him in the right light and always be at his back and beck and call whenever he needs. Positive publicity. I.e. his brown-face, blackface scandal. And many others. So, I want to conclude this video by saying Justin Trudeau is that person of whom Trump speaks of in this speech under the guise of social justice, using that to further his own ends, a hypocritical tool that he is using, his so-called anti-racism and so on. That's all a facade. He is not the genuine article, and I have to say, watching this beautiful speech by Donald Trump, it was extremely moving, and I do believe Trump is absolutely fully genuine in what he's saying and how he's representing himself. There is no lying that I can see there, and that may be a value judgment, but I very much believe in Trump, and I believe his message that Make America Great Again could never have sunk so deeply into the hearts of people if it wasn't the truth, and it didn't come from a genuine desire to serve his country. And I feel great pity here at home in Canada, because our leader seems not to support the prosperity of Canada and the prosperity of our people. He seems to be distracted by many things that are just transitory. They aren't important. They're just some phony way that he can stand in front of the press and proclaim self-righteousness that he doesn't have. And it is a absolute facade and a pseudo-personality. And I hope one day, my fellow Canadians, that we will see the end of his regime, because truly I feel great embarrassment, because that boy is our leader, and he is a boy. I looked at the press releases of Trudeau, and it just, for me, at 29 years old, he's a university educated man, supposedly a teacher, teaching French. And then for him to say in front of the press, oh, at the time I didn't know that was racist, is absolutely nonsense and a lie. And to represent himself that way is even more evidence that he is not really apologizing. He's giving an excuse. Well, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Well, a lot of people were around in 2001 that already considered that to be extremely racist, And the fact that he's dressing up and doing those things just proves that he is more and more childish than we thought. So, again, I say I feel great embarrassment at our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, for his very childish actions, the way he represents himself internationally and Canada's interests internationally. It is absolutely a detriment to Canada, and I hope, my fellow Canadians, that you take into consideration all of his actions the last 4 years, all the scandals, the many crimes, the way that he shut down any inquiry into these crimes, any judiciary body that is trying to investigate him, his office discreetly shut them down. And politicians under his purview, if they ever fell into trouble, they were taken to the Prime Minister's office first and dealt with directly, so that no judiciary body could harm any of his party members. You know, not exactly harm, but bring to justice, investigations, and so on. You talk about non-transparency, non-cooperation. That's Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party. And under his control, this country has suffered greatly, as the Americans have suffered under Obama. So, my fellow Canadians, are you watching? I hope that your eyes are open and you're awake, because Justin Trudeau may be re-elected at this election. I don't know if by a majority, but I hope, my fellow Canadians, that you are paying attention and you see Justin Trudeau for the hypocritical liar that he is. And I feel terrible. I feel embarrassed by it. I hoped that there would be some kind of investigation that would take place, at least for the SNC scandal. But it appears that Justin Trudeau has found a way to escape the negative publicity, if you will, in the press over these many scandals that have been happening. But this blackface, brownface scandal that I've been hearing about, that I've been watching, my fellow Canadians, please realize that the entire anti-racism and that he's representing himself by is entirely a facade. I thank you for your time and attention, and take care.